that was the hardest thing because I didn't know how to drive. I fully lied to everyone and said that I could. Still couldn't really know how to parallel park or like hit like a driving mark. They did teach me how to like do donuts and controlled slides and really fun things like that. Although I broke the car at one point. Yeah, I'm a menace on the road now.
We believe it though. Like every second you were behind the wheel, we're like, yeah, we're sold. Yeah, we trust you.
That was the hardest acting I've had to do.
We let you drive us anywhere. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
I don't know if it was like take 20 or whatever of like, okay, run from this building to this building, covering your, your private parts with the backside is exposed. And then pretty soon I saw like people in their balconies and the phones coming out. And then this Cleveland updates. And I, at one point, turned to Shawn and I was like, he's like, all right, we'll go again. I'm like, how many more angles? Do we have it yet? I think we have it. I think we have it. Like, we don't really want to see this that much.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello, good. How are you?
We are doing so well. Thank you both so much for sharing your time with us. We love you both so much. So we're just so honored to be talking with both of you today.
Thanks.
You know, Samara, you played some amazing characters in your time. And when you look at a lot of your characters, they're always trying to fight to survive. And we got to know, what has playing all these survivors kind of taught you about your own resilience?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't have any resilience. I need to pretend that I do.
Really good acting. Well worked out.
Yeah, maybe I think this is my alter ego. It's my time to convince the world that I'm way cooler than I am.
That's fantastic. And Karl, you look at, I think, the introduction to John in this movie, and, you get a really, I think, memorable scene of just running naked and running for your life while naked. So I guess two questions that came out of that for us. What did preparation look like when you're taking on a scene fully naked? And number two, was it cold?
It was cold. Yes, it was very cold. And, I mean, it was inherently comical. The scene was very funny to me, but where we decided to shoot that scene was in this project housing in Cleveland, which was not locked off. So there's just people going about their lives, going to work, getting up early in the morning, taking their kids to school, normal life stuff. And there's also this Instagram account called This Is Cleveland, which I learned about. And it's an outlet where people record ridiculous things to show the craziness of Cleveland. And at one point, I don't know if it was like take 20 or whatever of like, okay, run from this building to this building, covering your, your private parts with the backside is exposed. And then pretty soon I saw like people in their balconies and the phones coming out. And then this Cleveland updates. And I, at one point, turned to Shawn and I was like, he's like, all right, we'll go again. I'm like, how many more angles? Do we have it yet? I think we have it. I think we have it. Like, we don't really want to see this that much. But yeah, it was cold. And I just practiced running as fast as I could to try to just find boxer briefs.
You really changed the course of those people's lives that day, I think.
Oh my God. Yes. Those poor children.
Going up against the glass.
But I was covered in the front, but even that was probably quite shocking if anyone like didn't know what was happening. They're like, there's a living Ken doll running through the projects right now.
Where did Eenie Meanie begin for you? Where was the beginning? Where's the inception of this film?
Well, I always do a thing where I kind of, hopefully there's a best of both worlds situation going on where you get kind of the popcorn movie genre casing. My TV show, Wayne, was kind of like John Wick is done by John Hughes, So I, and this one felt like, how do I tell a kind of emotional story that you don't normally get from the kind of popcorn genre movies we're used to seeing lately and make it more character oriented? My mother raised me on, Terms of Endearment and Kramer versus Kramer, Ordinary People, all these sad 70s movies. And my dad was raising me on Conan the Barbarian and Death Wish and all those genre movies. So I think in the end, after kind of moving through 90s indie cinema, I like to make these things that feel like 90s indie movies that blow up, into all the emotion of those, 70s movies my mom liked and all the popcorn fun of the stuff my dad liked. But hopefully people feel surprised. It feels like a little bit of an indie movie coming in, and then it explodes into, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of car chases. That scope almost should feel surprising, I hope.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we've always said we need a Conan the Barbarian terms of endearment crossover.
Hey.
So it's finally time,
I'm here to give it to people, man. I'm here to give it to the people.
And you've got this like amazing cast as well. When you look at Samara, you look at Karl. What was it about them that you were like, yeah, these are my two leads. These are the people that I want.
Well, I've been a fan of Samara a while. I mean, she's great in that movie, Ready or Not, right? And like a great hero, doing great, dramatic work in that movie. And then there's the humor of that movie, which I came up writing comedy in my career. It's a great way to, tell character story really easily. So I always look for a little mix of it all. Karl, at first, I'll say it. I saw a picture. I was like, he looks like one of the kind of seedy guys from my hometown of Brockton, Massachusetts. Like he has that 70s look that you kind of look for in a movie like this. And then I met him. John's the hardest thing in the movie. It's like, how do you tell this story about a guy where the audience is supposed to be like, well, who's this idiot? Why is she with him? And then kind of he evolves into somewhere where you get why she's with him. And then, an ending that you guys saw that, is you're supposed to have a feeling about that. You know what I mean? So I thought, he walks in 6 foot something, handsome as hell, abs, comes off a motorcycle. I'm like, all right. And then he has this boyish enthusiasm that you guys see in the movie, and this innocence, this puppy dog innocence that you don't expect. And he says to me, isn't 2024 going to be great? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, we had strikes, like the pandemic wasn't so long ago. I'm like, from Boston, we don't think anything's going to be great. You know what I mean? So that right there kind of sold me on the guy, where I was like, oh, he has that thing where he's like, no matter how many walls he's going to walk into, which is this character, like he just keeps walking into walls. He thinks everything's going to work out just fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Karl, we were speaking with your director, Shawn, before this, and he said that your role was the hardest to cast in this film. Why, I guess, like, what did you find most challenging about bringing John to life, and why do you think you were the one to bring this character to life?
I don't know, because when I read the script, I mean, not to sound like overconfident, but when I read it, I don't feel this when I read everything, but when I read this one, I was like, oh, I got this. I mean, I really felt like, oh man, they're like lobbing this one over the plate to me. And then I think then I got maybe probably like a little, I think I was delusionally like confident about this one. We had a meeting, Shawn and I, we met at a diner first. We didn't talk about the movie at all, other than the fact that I was like so pumped that to meet a guy that was about to make his first feature, and the script was so fun. But he at the end of the meeting, he goes, so do you like have any questions for me, because I hadn't made the tape yet? And I was like, not really. And he was like, really? And I was like, what kind of hair does he have? And he goes, oh, I think he just like shaves his head over a trash can. I go, great. And that's exactly what I did before I made the tape. And then I think they probably saw like a lot of guys. I think I was probably one of the first tapes. And then Shawn probably really kept fighting for this weird guy that maybe they weren't so sure about. But he, he believed in me, and what a friggin' gift to be in this movie with Sam and to have Shawn, like feeding me line readings. I was just like, I'm so grateful. I just still to this day feel like the luckiest guy in the world.
Samara, the driving sequences in this film are so amazing and so thrilling. First of all, what does preparation also look like for that? And do you drive like that in real life now?
I do. Yeah, I'm a menace on the road now. No, the process was the hardest thing, because I didn't know how to drive at all. I fully lied to everyone and said that I could. So then I was panicking, quickly learning how to drive in like less than 6 months to try to get to that level. And then, shout out to my driving instructor, Adam, who was very, very helpful and very calm. Still couldn't really know how to parallel park or like hit like a driving mark. But they did teach me how to like do donuts and controlled slides and really fun things like that. Although I broke the car at one point. And then they quickly realized like I was very fresh and green at driving. But we had such an incredible stunt driving team, and the whole action unit. They were very cool and very intimidating and very humbling. They made me look dope. Because if it was just me, it would be chaos.
We believe it though. Like every second you were behind the wheel, we're like, yeah, we're sold.
Yeah.
That was the hardest acting I've had to do.
We let you drive us anywhere. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Speaking of Stay Together, you are working with Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese again.
Yeah.
Worked together on Wayne, and now you're working together on this. What is it like collaborating with them on bringing this film to life?
Wayne it was a real pleasure working with them. I realized, what good, experience they had in kind of guiding me. They're the reason Wayne got picked up to some degree because Deadpool was like huge at the time, and I had them as producers, and they kind of guided me through and protected me. Paul Wernick, we call the Warhead Wernick because he'll go and if you're mad, he'll go drop in the warhead. And they're such nice guys. We had a kind of tonal, they're somewhere in the same area, like our tonal comedy action genre thing, which is them. But going into my first movie, especially directing my first movie, it was great having them kind of, you want someone to protect you and have your back in a big experience with this much money on the line, and, they're my friends as much as they are my partners, and, lucky to have them. Paul was actually the one that said, let him direct it, and I was like, what? Wait, what? Show running prepared me for that job of directing for sure. So I didn't realize the two were so close. So it wasn't such a crazy idea. And I guess, seemed to work out all right.
That's amazing. Yeah, it did. Definitely did.
For yourself, what were those foundational films? You're from Boston, so there's so many amazing films that also take place in Boston, and we can go on about the accent too. But what were those movies growing up for you that you're like, this is what formed who I am?
That's a question that was answered very quickly when the studio said, okay, if you want to direct it, pitch us for the job. And a funny thing happens when you're thinking about all your favorite movies and why you write what you write. And it was a very strange recipe of 4 or 5 movies where I went, oh, all these things surprisingly are in everything I write, which The Apartment is one of them, which is like no character goes unserved in that movie. Like every single character that walks on screen makes a mark. That's my biggest rule in writing. I don't care if you're talking about, you guys saw the movie, there's a guy named Sweetie. We never meet Sweetie, but do you have a feeling about who he is by the time we're finished? You do. Yeah. I won't even talk about a character unless, I give him a thing, so The Apartment is comic and surprisingly for its time, really dark and sad. Before Sunset, I guess everything I do has that groundedness of romance, between two people. Two people are kind of left on an island together for a certain point in time. Wayne is definitely that. Step Brothers. I love the comedy of that movie. I kind of was raised on writing that stuff in the beginning of my career. And the propulsiveness of Raiders of the Lost Ark and the chaoticness of that movie. Like total chaos, like nonstop moving. And I think if you really look at it, all those things are in this movie,
Yeah, definitely. That's a damn good movie night, though.
That's an
amazing back to back double feature.
Yeah.
I'll put Evil Dead 2 in there for the
hell yeah.
For the extreme violence portion of it all. the comic violence of it all.
One of our favorite theatrical experiences ever was watching Ready or Not, Samara, and getting to be from Toronto and having that movie shot here. We're so excited for Ready or Not 2. What can you tell us about what's to come? I
mean, I really hope the fans are going to be as excited as we were filming it. I think it's really good. I know sequels, it's like, that's a tough act to follow, but I think we followed through pretty well. I think we are going to come in strong.